Anybody needed a loan or a gift to go to him, because I'm retired. By your very presence, you are publicly attesting to that you care about kids. Now, with the exception of, say, Mackenzie and Amy, and I don't really know how old Angel really is, but I would kind of count her in the youthful side of things. Same with Shara, even though her kids are now adults, at least by chronological age, huh? But we know, we've lived long enough to know that the world we're living in is majorly shifted than when we were kids. Even though some of us came from rough situations, there is not the normal, traditional, if you want to define normal traditional family structure that prevailed when we were growing up. And so it is, and I mentioned this last night in the session too. You as individuals cannot become mom and dad for all the kids in the church or all the kids in the neighborhood. But, and it is a big thing that I'm going to say here, you can make a difference. And the difficulty is, at least for me, well, let me illustrate this. As I said to Caleb the other day, I said, "Hey, Caleb, this is the second time around with me for you." I said, "You're your dad reincarnated, so I know exactly what you're thinking. I've been trained." Also said to him, as I interact with him, and at times, out of intention, frustrating, I irritate him. Oh, by the way, if you want to irritate a child, make him sit down and lecture to him. Come up here, Mackenzie, and we'll demonstrate. No, you don't have to. Demonstrate. You see, they really like us lecturing them. I'm being facetious. And welcome, all of you. Do some of you belong in some other class? This is elders taking care of kids. Oh, so we're the refuge class. They sent the enemy over. See that? I'm irritating her right away. What you have to do, adult, what you have to do is you have to take the offensive, not the defensive. Don't try to defend yourself with a kid because you'll lose. They're all lawyers. And you know, as you get older, you don't become as good a lawyer as you know. By the time you've thought it through, they've already talked 15 sentences. It's true. It's true. See, Charity didn't have any problem piping up and said, "I'm not the fault," inferring that I'm the fault. They kicked you out over there because they didn't want to deal with you. Welcome to the people that really love you, Charity. Look around at these folks here. Look at all the people that are going to interfere in your life. Who's your friend? Hey, talk to me afterwards. You need to pick some better friends, buddy. See, you take the offensive. You don't sit back and wait for them to respond. You go after them right up front. Now, I'm being a little bit funny, but not totally about it. The key is you can't be. Oh, I also said to Caleb, and see, I didn't grow up with Vince. He's his mom. And when I look at girls, I don't have a clue what to do. I don't. You just act your goofy self and hope they love you. But But you see, I also said to him, I said, not only that I understand what's going on in you, but I said, you're in a transition. I'm, by illustration, pointing out to you. You're in a transition, and you're going from a place where you were comfortable as a child to you're growing into manhood. Yeah, you're going from that place into manhood. And I said, now here I am as an elder, and I'm in a transition. And I'm going. His dad finished the question for me when I was telling the story. He had finished the statement. He said, yeah, Dad, you're going from being an adult to a child. Okay, but I said, I'm in a transition also. I said, listen, in our relationship, I said, I refuse to be frustrated with you. I'm not frustrated with you. You can act goofy if you want to. I'm not frustrated with you. And I said, but I count on something from you. You're not going to be frustrated with me, so give me a break. I'm in transition too. So I say that to you too, that you need to be who you are. And you can learn from the relationship. In fact, you can stay. It can affect you in your attitude towards life, so you can benefit. But what happens is you cannot be their parent. So you don't have to be in the place of parent. The class, some of you were there last night. I said, you don't want to be their friend. I was talking from a parent standpoint. You do not want to be their friend. I'm telling you the opposite of that. You can be their friend. Now that friendship, you understand, if you're going to be helping a child, and we're living in a world, Peaches shared something with us last night that I'm never going to forget. Because of what she does in the summertime and how kids are reaching out to her and stuff. But thank God they can reach out to you. You're going to be, because we're fix-it kind of people. We come from a generation where we want to correct problems. We want to come up with solutions. And we want to change life. What I'm trying to say is, yes, we can try to do as much of that, but you're going to be majorly frustrated. If you think that you're going to change their circumstances, but you can be a friend. You can be there for them. You can hurt with them. And the impact that we can have is being there. Now I'm going to reveal something to you that maybe you haven't paid any attention to, and you really shouldn't have, because I don't want you really paying attention to it. There's not a kid that comes into this church on Sunday that I don't touch. Charity, correct? Yeah. Now, see, she already knows. I mean, she already knows. Tessa's grown up now, so she doesn't poke me. Now I poke her because I've grown down. Mackenzie was just a little girl when I was helping Pennsville and pastoring that too. But Mackenzie and I got to know each other. We didn't make a big deal about it. Hello, I am Jose Jimenez. Who are you? No, what I'm trying to bring to you is that it isn't. We do not have to have the pressure of doing major things, because just being there, just being a part, just being available. And the frustration for me is that I can't solve every one of the problems. And the tendency is when you can't do that. And I'm not talking about, if you have to report them to Department of Social Services, Family Services, something, go for it. I mean, if they're at that kind of risk. The support people there, don't ever, as you're ministering or connected with a child or a teenager, take the vow of confidentiality. You're breaking God's rule. The parents are responsible. You might think the parents are jerks, but in the right atmosphere, be able to relay that to them, because you cannot. It isn't just a legal thing. I'm not talking about a legal thing. I wish it had changed the situation when a number of years ago, I had a meeting with a child. By the way, I don't meet in the office with kids. Come up and sit on my couch, and I'll sit behind the desk, and we'll have a discussion. No, you'll do all the talking, and they'll sit and look at you and hope they can get out of there quick. Had an interaction. I got the child because I wanted to say something to him. Got them doing something with me over in the fellowship hall. And Thanksgiving was coming up. And I've told this story before, so some of you have heard it, but none of you haven't. Because I know that child was in a major squeeze. Because they were the whipping post between mom and dad over a custody hearing, over a custody thing. And the parents were being jerks as they can be. And they were using that child to get at the other person. Now, my thug from Michigan nature wanted to break some knees and bust some chops and deal with the parents. That would have really helped the kid. But it was Thanksgiving time, and I said, I'm just talking about how simple things can be. Charity's being a brat now. I've lost some weight. My seamstress is in Florida. It's my mother-in-law. And so the pants that fit me before now, well, let me just demonstrate, say it this way. When Vince and his dad and I were making a trip, and we were in Terminal F, and Terminal F security means you go through X-ray, and when you go through X-ray, I have to put the mic down. When you go through X-ray, you have to take your belt off. Problem. I've lost some weight. Problem. And they're sitting back and laughing like crazy because they know I'm going to have to put my hands up in the air. So they're standing there laughing like everything when I put my hands up in the air and was trying to hold my pants up because they were sure they were going to fall off. But anyway, to counteract that, I wear suspenders now with my big pairs of pants, and Charity has found out. So she every Sunday checks me out to see whether I got suspenders on because she likes to snap my suspenders. And she covers it up by saying, oh, I want to give you a hug, Brother Bearsy. I want to give you a hug. Brat. You didn't know that you were going to be object. My object lesson is Charity's about flower. What kind of deal is that? Who gave you the flower? Who are you trying to fool? Flower. Now, when you don't have to be goofy like me. I'm not trying to say that. You do not. You do not. I'm going to have Nick tell his story. No, I won't. I promise. I have the urge to tell it right now, but I'm going to discipline myself. You're not going to have to hear it again, Nick. So it is, you see. What I'm bringing to you is being there. Simple contact. It makes a difference. If you got to solve their problems, you're going to be majorly frustrated. But it makes a difference. I said last night, I'm going to keep on saying it. She doesn't even know she's famous in this church. When I get that Father's Day card from a late 40, early 50, I can't remember. I can figure out what her age is. But I say young, African-American young lady in Kaiser, West Virginia. When I get a Father's Day card from her, she does not know what that means to me. But it wasn't about me then. I hadn't seen Brenda Carr in 35 years. People change when they're 12 or 13 years old, and now they're 35 years older. I didn't recognize her. living with a grandmother with no running water or inside facilities. I'm not sure if they were using kerosene or they had a little bit of electricity. Rough situation. Neglected by parents, grandmother trying to do the best. She was very old. Brenda used to be one of the kids that came over to our house. We had to watch her because she's so enthralled with inside plumbing that she would go into the bathroom and spend hours in there flushing the commode. Yeah, it was funny in a sense, but it wasn't funny either. And then I met her at Sister Williamson's funeral. It's not about me. Please, I just happen to know my circumstances. I don't know what happened to my little Margie. Don't know what happened to Tina. Not Tina from here. Don't know what happened to them. Margie was from the projects. I baptized Margie when she was about 10 years old. Late at night in the dark in a fish pond in the back of my pastor's home. I don't know. I hope she still remembers. I remember her. Tina was, neither mom nor dad wanted Tina, so she was living with grandma. It does make a difference that you care. That's the whole point. In the midst of the frustration, of wanting to, give somebody a piece of your mind, that just being there, I hope it makes a difference. That somebody can know. I know it made a difference in my life. A 6th grade teacher, when I was so ashamed because my dad had left because of me, that's what I thought. And that 6th grade teacher showed an interest in me. He probably doesn't even remember me, but I remember him. I'm just sharing my heart with you. You can make a difference. You do not have to be me. Everybody say, thank the Lord. You can, but you need to be you, real. Caring, willing to make mistakes and say, I'm sorry, I made a mistake. Tessa, if I had done everything right with you, if I ever blown it with you, she getting permission from her grandmother. No, you don't have to. You don't have to give the specifics. In fact, I would appreciate if you don't give the specifics. Yeah, but I care. It's not because I'm telling her I care now. You hear what I'm saying? It's got to. It can't be. It can't be just words. It needs to be words. It needs to be words where you interact, but your own self. See, my comfort zone is to sit with a book, now a computer, in the quiet of my house where my wife's reading. That's my comfort zone. My comfort zone is not having 5 grandkids up there interacting together as they vie for King of the Hill. By the way, you know who King. It isn't King of the Hill, it's Queen of the Hill. You know who Queen of the Hill is. Now, Cassandra hasn't really advocated yet because she's the cool one. That she really thinks she's King of the Hill too. And those boys, they vie between each other for King of the Hill, not realizing Candace has got it. But what I'm saying is, you have to be willing to be out of your comfort zone and care. And when Jesus said, if you suffer with me. Now, we oftentimes think about, because the sin of in our life and the suffering that we deal in, our hang-ups and our situations that God has revealed and been bigger than, and all of, as we're dealing with a relationship with the Lord, and find safe places where we can be safe, is that somebody's presence. Who cares? Now, how many people caring does a child need? As many as they can get. As many as they can get. Caring. Don't tell the story again. I apologize for you that have heard it 15. If you've ever been a Sunday school teacher, you have heard this story. because I had got an appointed Sunday school superintendent to run the Sunday school in Kaiser, West Virginia, and a guy down in Southwest in Huntington, West Virginia, had the superintendent of the schools for all of Huntington schools as his Sunday school superintendent. The superintendent of schools in Huntington at that time was he was Apostolic Pentecost. And churches of 500 within the Pentecostal movement at that time were an exception. There were not any mega 1,000 church, but they had 500 or so in the Sunday. And I asked the pastor of that church, and it changed my life. I asked the pastor, because here my pastor had invited Eleanor and I out because this pastor was visiting and they were friends. And I get a chance to interact, and he had a unique name, Green Kitchen. I got to ask Green Kitchen what his success story was for running a Sunday school like that, because I was interested in reaching all these kids in this little town in West Virginia. And he said, I care. I want that to really sink in. You don't have to be perfect. You don't have to have a plan. You don't have to, it doesn't have to be your comfort zone. But if you'll care. And it went silent for a long time. He never said anything else. I'm expecting a lecture from this man so I can put a plan together and implement it and stuff. Martavis, it changed my life. What he said, it just bugged me. I mean, bugged me in a positive fashion. I care. What he's saying is, and then after, I don't know, it seemed like a minute. 30 seconds seems like 2 hours, right, when you're waiting for a response. And then he said, and I have people around me who care. Welcome. Welcome. I'm not a hero. I get frustrated just like you do. I'll have my wife to come down here and give a 15-minute exposition on how frustrated her husband can get. She's my rock beside my Jesus. This mild man, she'll look at me and say, you got an attitude problem today. And I'm trying to figure out some solution, and I've already shared with her what I felt the Lord wanted to do, and I'm just probing that, trying to find something and all this stuff, and she'll say, oh, did God change his mind? But we care. We care. And so we're living in a world where children need to know we care. Couldn't get away from us, could you? Could you? I know, you couldn't get away. A hero and a brat at the same time. It is. And, if for a number of you, if I said that to you, we might have an issue. We don't, because she knows I care. Personally, I had a major issue with women, and Lisa had a major issue with men, and we're friends. It's amazing. But she was a kid, thrown in a situation where she had to grow up fast because of her brother. And her heart for her oldest sisters. Man, that Bible study we had with them we never knew what that was going to be, where her sisters came to the Lord before their death. She didn't know she was the bridge. I'm just saying what I'm trying to do too is to let you know pressure doesn't need to be there. But you have to be comfortable out of your box. You have to learn to be, and the way you learn to be comfortable out of your box is you realize You're not in a performance test with God. You're not trying to prove anything you're carrying. My prayer, God, is there anything else I can do? Is there anything else I can do? God, are you sure carrying's going to be enough? And what they will tell you that you don't understand. What can Brother Hollis understand about what Charity and her friend back there, what they're doing that they see? They don't know how you understand. So you don't defend it. I'm just giving you some, you can't. Yes, I do. No, you don't. Yes, I do. You know, you can have one of those deals, and they win. And it makes a difference. And what happens is, I think about all the kids in this county, all the kids that up in Philadelphia, and it absolutely is overwhelming. And I don't know where I ever heard it, and I've told this many times, and I'm going to make sure everybody hears this. Kids walking on the beach, starfish are by thousands, if not millions, washed up on the beach. And he's walking there knowing, he knows, I wouldn't have known this if I didn't know the story, the starfish can't live outside of the water. So he's picking a starfish up, throwing it back in, picking up, throwing it back in. An adult comes along and tells the kid, this is impossible. You can't make a difference. Said, made a difference to this one, threw it in. That's our attitude we have to have. I've had many people, I'm not on a pity party, many people come to the major conclusion that the problem in their life was me. You've had it too. And that can happen with a kid. It can. You have to conduct yourself discreetly. You know, all these restrictions we have with those that are teaching Sunday school classes and that, the interaction you can have with kids, and we have at least 2 adults there, and all the things that are providing safety both for the faculty and for the kids, and they're necessary, and we're hard as everything. You know, that long form you had to fill out when you're going to teach Sunday school for us and deal with kids and, you know, reveal your innermost feelings, and all the stuff that went in there to try to protect things. But then I said to the Lord when I saw all of these happening, all the things happening, I said, God, if it's going to separate me from ministering to people, I guess I might have to risk going to jail. And I'm not talking about being stupid. I can't imagine a hug from me meaning much to anybody. My wife seems to still like it, and that's good. Isn't that a blast, Mackenzie? Just get visual in your eye. That elderly lady and me hugging. Isn't that a scream? You're going to want a guy that just doesn't want to hug you when you're young, that he wants to hug you when you're old. You see, caring, I'm trying to share with you that there is a risk. There's an emotional risk. And in the world, the crazy world that we're living in, this girl that I was telling you about, that I didn't finish the story, which I'm going to finish right now, so I got her helping me over there in the Sunday school area, moving chairs around and stuff so I could talk to her. And it was Thanksgiving time, and I said to her, called her by name, I said, you know, if we have pumpkin pie at Thanksgiving, you know, I told you like pumpkin pie. I think she said she did. If she didn't, it would have been all right anyway. But anyway, whether she liked it or not, I said, pumpkin pie. I said, you know that if we cut that pie in 4 pieces, It's one pie, and we cut it into 4 pieces. And you and I each have a piece, and there's 2 pieces left. If we would cut it in 6 pieces, then the piece that we would have gotten would be smaller, right? Cut it in bigger, cut more pieces, less to eat from it. I said, I've just illustrated to you what love is not. I said, love doesn't get divided like a pie. Love multiplies. Love multiplies. And nobody substitutes for somebody else in this love relationship that we have. I could go up to Sister Mary Talbot now in front of her husband and say, Sister Mary, I love you, and there wouldn't be any problem. There would not be any problem. Neil knows that there isn't anything implemented in that. In fact, I'll do it right now. Love you, Sister Mary. Love you too, Brother Neil. But, okay. But you know, in dealing with children, especially when they get to be teenagers, I can't say, it's hard to say that because all of the stuff that's been filtered into their mind and things, even at young ages. But you can still connect. You find a way of connecting because they're very perceptive. Kids know whether you're just putting it on, whether they're ornery, bratty, little angels. They know, they perceive it. They can't verbalize it necessarily, but they perceive it. It takes some of them, because of the circumstances they're coming from, it takes a long time for them to trust you. Trust you to the place that they'll even respond to you. I will never give up on a kid. I've had kids in this church, it took me 3 to 5 years for them to open up. I am not thinking I'm God's gift to everybody that comes into this church, but I love kids. And see, if we bond together, doing the simple things. I know they have grandfather organizations and they have big brother and big sister, all kinds of things where they one-on-one folks and that. And I understand the impact of that, or the possible impact of that. What happens is, if we're loving the little ones, we have touched Jesus' heart. When you get nothing out of it, but maybe a rejection, it isn't what you're reaching out. You're making a difference because you touched Jesus' heart. Now, why he's included us in, I'm going to ask him when I get to heaven, but I know he has. To try to say why he would include us in, as imperfect as we are, each of us. And I'm not putting anybody down. The task is so big that it's overwhelming. Makes a difference to this one. Made a difference to Tilly. Wish I got one from Ralph, but he decided to go a different way. That's her brother. If I focus on Ralph, I get very depressed. I don't forget about Ralph. But I'm going to focus on Tilly and thank God for that card every year. It makes a difference. It makes a difference. Now, what I'm doing, what we're trying to do is strengthen the family. Thank you for being here. Thank you, grandparents, for being here. Thank you, each one of you. And I've joked with a number of you, but thank you because showing up today on Saturday for this shows you care. I don't know how educational this is going to be, probably not much. But I hope it's inspirational for you in caring. In caring. I know as parents and raising a bratty kid and that, but there were interactions where when he wrote that note, preteen, and he'd done something goofy again, which he was real good at. You're not going to give up on me, Dad, are you? Rung my bell. Why would he think that? So I talked him out of it. No, I didn't. We went out to Dunkin' Donuts. He can tell you about it. I finally got the message as a parent. He don't drink coffee, so they were selling sodas there too. We had a donut. I was pre-McDonald's in my life. And we sat down and I said, son, you're off the hook. You don't have to change. Mom and I have been wrong. We've tried to make you, quote, protected from society at being socially acceptable. I apologize to you. You're your person. Go be you. Some people aren't going to be pleased with you, but Mom and Dad are. Did that say he didn't have to do some growing up? When he met Regina, she perceived very quickly that he needed to do some growing up. I don't know if I can find the letter or not. I laughed. My wife cried. No, then she got mad. That's the only time she'd been mad at Regina for that letter. That was her boy. Regina was essentially telling him, man, you need to grow up, guy. Thank the Lord they didn't get married then, Amy. Wasn't too many years down the road that she decided he had grown up. And the C. Hey, the guy up in the AV office there, he's his own man. Is he perfect? If you marry him, you'll find out he isn't. He can remember, as I became his personal Bible quiz coach with a alternate motive. I wanted him in Bible quizzing. I said to Ben, Ben, I'm your pastor. I said, you and I are both going to have to take responsibility for that. So there's a line of familiarity that if you cross over that infringes upon me being your pastor, we're going to have to adjust. But that did not hinder us from having a whole lot of, from my perspective anyway, and you'll have to ask Ben, of having some interaction that was, I think, very positive and did not infringe upon me being his pastor. Didn't hurt him that when I got in the pulpit that he saw that there was somebody preaching the Word of God, not just a guy that, that at times had fun with and would sit and listen to him quote for hours and baby talk. People say, well, you had special people that you were touching. Yep, everybody. Everybody's special. Everybody's special. Everybody needs special attention. That's why God made us unique and special. That's why these kids, I'm being transparent with you, so you're not going to endorse or cover up or condone behavior that's not only going to affect some other person in their life, but also their own life. You're not going to condone that. But you can position yourself maybe to help them get through that if they give you the opportunity. So I know you're doing it. I know you're doing it. What I'm here is not to convince people to do it, just to give you a little encouragement. Keep on. There are people that you're thinking about right now. It could be family relation. And don't try to do the big deals with them. every day or every church day or every week touching somebody's life means more than any trip you can take or any amount of money you can give them. Because what you're doing is you're giving them yourself. And it seems like it doesn't. If a little leaven leavened the whole lump, let's get some leaven of love getting planted in people's lives. Because if leaven does make good bread. And I'm out of my, that's as much as I can say about baking. Okay. I meant to say you could, interrupt me anytime here. But I hope I'm making sense. I'll ask my wife is here, and I'm not sure whether she can hear me or not upstairs. We need to get a speaker in there. But usually when I say, how did I do? She, well, clear as mud as usual. Man. It's real, isn't it, Tessa? You're right in the middle of it. You're in the middle of it. Are you a grown-up lady? You want to say yes. She sat there. She wanted so bad to say yes. She said, no, I don't want to deal with that. You obviously know more than Grandma. Don't answer that question. I don't want you lying in church. Your mom understands everything about you, right, Mackenzie? She's a good mom, though, right? Because she's involved. She's involved. Brother Squires is going to be on here in about 10 minutes, and kids are going to have a great time. He loves kids. The reason Lloyd Squires is here is for one reason. It's not because he's a king's clown. It's because he loves kids. I want everyone in this class to take the vow they're going to be like Lloyd Squires. Lloyd Squires wants to get in. Ben, let him in the door. This AV, that's Steve's way of keeping people out. He was telling us last night that first time he even rode in a plane, they expected him to jump at 23,000 feet. They had not trained him to jump. He was a special forces person. You can imagine that, right? But anyway, they make him jump. They kick him out of the plane at 23,000 feet. He's never jumped before or been on a plane. And then they got mad at him because he's screaming all the way down, I want my mama. That really, I said, is that the truth? Or you make it, no, it was the truth. I said, those people thought I knew a whole lot more than I knew, kicking me out of a plane at 23,000 feet. The reason he has impact is because he loves kids. He's willing to be himself. If I had to be Lloyd Squires, I'd have to go be a monk in some monastery. I'm not talking about comfort zone. I'm talking about continual pain. So you make a difference. Satan wants us to look at the ones who it appears like it hasn't made a difference. Years ago, I was invited to speak to home missionaries in the Maryland district. And Brother Staten, who is now a home missionary himself in Washington, D.C. area, he was the home missions director. And I was talking to these folks about home missions and being part of a home missions church and how it's at the birth, it's a new birth process, and everything is fragile and things. And the young man came up afterwards and said, you don't know who I am. And I didn't know who he was. He said, years ago, your son, so it would have been in the time that Steve had been home from school, your son was conducting a Bible study in Red Mill Apartments to a young Hispanic lady, and I can't remember if it was her mother or his mother, but anyway, and he said, I'm the guy that harassed him every time he came. I'm the guy that gave my wife a fit. And I don't know if it was mother-in-law or mother. But anyway, he said, I was the one. He said, I want you to tell your son, thank you. We only get to see a few of those. But we're going to know like Jesus knows when we get over to heaven. And this isn't this session because it's going to be the next one tomorrow night and stuff. The Lord knows what you did for your dad. What you did for your mom. How you forgave your mom. Now, I happen to know because I was somewhat involved, but not the level that any of you were. But God knew. And that's where it is. See, it's not the big deals. It isn't the things that anyone could get puffed up about and say, man, look at me. It's touching people's lives, making a difference. Makes a difference to this one. Makes a difference to this one. Makes a difference to this one. So your endeavor that might look in vain isn't, because it's not over. It's not over. And I want to fix it and get it off my plate. They had to teach me about this plate business. I got too much on my plate. Well, who put it on there? But I know it's just a modern. Well, I got too much on my plate, so don't bother me. We don't want to have too much on our plate. The kids aren't important. Amen. And even though they need to be constrained, in other words, there needs to be a safety where they are constrained because they don't know what they're doing sometimes. Did you hear that? They don't know what they're doing. It's not because they're stupid, but they are ignorant. Ignorance means they haven't had the exposure. They don't know. So you try to help them out. And even if they won't listen, you still stay, you be the thorn. That's not going to go away. I'm publicly telling you, leave my suspenders alone. Now she's going to tell every kid in the church, and I'm going to have to, I don't know what to do, let my pants fall off or something. You're going to make it all right, Amy? She's sitting there and saying, I can't believe this. Welcome to America, East Coast style. Yeah. Right, Marv? Now, I would like to close this meeting, but he probably won't do it. Martavis has not done the moonwalk for so many years, and he is a cool guy. When I suggested that from Amy, she said, not in church. I said, oh, you need to experience it. This big man can really do the moonwalk. Somebody quoted Elizabeth one time. I don't know if she knows I know this. I don't know how it even got to me. I can't even remember. She said to somebody, I don't want to go in his office. I thought, oh, am I such a meanie she don't want to go in my office? So I've never invited Elizabeth to my office. We interact out in the public. But relationships that we, even in the midst of it, that we can, the Lord has a sense of humor. I know periodically I give him a good laugh. as I'm struggling for life. Yeah. Oh, our kids are important. The devil's trying to kill them. Literally the spirits of this world. And where there is an adult in a family that's serving God, they're going to try to get at you through somebody you love. And I knew that as a called preacher to this East Coast. And I got God's assurance that he was going to send angels. Because I knew it was going to come after my wife and my son. And then the congregation. I couldn't imagine that any of you, or even a few of you, and I'm not being, I couldn't imagine what the Lord has done. And he's done it. And you can imagine the impact. I've lived long enough to bring you examples. Just caring made a difference. Just caring made a difference. So they knew they had a place to come back to if they had to go. That they could come back. That they could come back. And that we wanted everyone to gather in heaven. So, this is the biggest group. Where are the parents? This is the biggest group. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I know the pastor of this church is thrilled. He's the one that was excited when he said, Dad, this is the biggest group. And some of the folks didn't show up that signed up. It was even going to be bigger than this. So thank you. You are making a difference. This is not some promotional thing where I'm trying to pump you up so you don't get discouraged with life. It's real. Touch a life before Jesus comes, and your life has had an eternal purpose. And you don't have to limit it to one, but you don't have to be under pressure. You do have to, I'm going to say again, you do have to get out of your comfort zone. You do have to. And what happens is he then gives you confidence in him that you're not under strain. It's amazing. It's amazing. It's amazing. It comes from him. The peace that passeth all understanding. And when you're focused on somebody else, I can promise you, he'll not only take care of you, but he'll take care of your family. He really will. He really will. He's a great God. He's a great God. Mackenzie, you are a cute little girl. You were, okay, a cute little girl. And you're a fine-looking young lady. I think so many things, I'm going to close with this. I think so many things that I realize that they should need to come out of my head and in my lips. I'm not talking about bad stuff. I'm talking about good stuff. So I'm on a crusade that if I think it, I'm going to bring it through and tell somebody. And I was thinking that about Mackenzie, a cute little girl she was, so that I just fulfilled my promise. But it's the truth, and I'm not lying. No axes to grind, no nothing. Your mom didn't put me up to it. Yeah. Hey, how come you changed the flower? You didn't think I noticed. Where'd that flower come from? Did he give you that flower? Caleb give you the flower? Huh? What? That's day one. I know it's the same one. You switched sides. You were trying to make me think I was losing my eyesight. Okay, I know. Hey, you don't have to be goofy like that. You don't have, I'm just being myself now. I really am. I used to suppress it, Martavis. I thought, man, I don't want people to think I'm goofy. I am. Whether you give me permission or not, hey, you're going to have to put up with it because we got to love everybody. Let's stand and worship him and ask his blessing. The other two classes that are going now, Brother Littles has a class there, and I know Steve's teaching a class. I don't know if you're signed up for it or not, but it's there. But there's going to be a children's service in here. Amen. Regina, what are the names of those two over there? The two classes over there. What? Finding a mate? Was that, or did you teach? Oh, general session with Brother Little's over there, so everybody's welcome. What's the topic? Managing work and play. Or, who cares?
The King's Clown?
Yeah.
Not Brothers Littles?
That's correct. And then in the night, he's teaching again.
I'm just trying to get the grandkids.
You got another little girl wants to see you.
A little girl.
Hey, Brother Bid, I have a question for you.
Okay.
Okay.